Hello and welcome to another episode of Animation Pilgrimage, where we watch every single animated film in order. On this week's episode, we are bringing you Disney's Make Mine Music.
Another one of their lovely package films.
Yup, it came out in 1946, so we're moving along.
Yep, we're moving right along. Hopefully we don't have too many more of these.
Yeah, I don't think that there are many more wartime films.
Not too many more. We got to get to 1950.
Okay. But that being said, there's not a lot of movies that came out during this time.
Yes.
Everyone's, in the middle of the war.
Well, I mean, this is 1946, so the war is wrapping up.
Okay. Anyways, so this is Make Mine Music. It's another compilation film of just a bunch of shorts.
But, in its defense, because, we already kind of sound a little cynical here. In its defense, this is probably the closest you're going to get to a sequel to Fantasia made by the same people who made Fantasia.
And it breaks my heart. Just gonna say that right now.
Uh-huh.
If this is the sequel to Fantasia...
It's a very disappointing sequel.
Oh, it's a direct-to-DVD schlockfest compared to the original.
I think that's a disservice to the direct-to-DVD schlockfests.
Okay, so... as you could probably tell, we don't think this movie is terribly great. This was the first...
I will say that, we've got some package films coming up. This one's not bad.
Yeah, it's...
Compared to other package films.
Yeah, I would say this is better than Saludos Amigos.
Yeah.
As a whole.
It's about on par with Three Caballeros.
Yeah, which I don't think is... Either of them are still terribly great.
No, but Three Caballeros is just enjoyable because the characters involved in it are fun.
Yes.
And this one's so up and down.
Oh, it is all over the place.
So because this is a bunch of segments, yet again, we're going to have to just, take a look, stop at each segment and talk about each one.
So this one, unlike, the Three Caballeros, where it's, 4 or maybe 5 segments for both Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros, this is 9 segments, or 10, if you get the right copies.
It's 10.
Okay, it's 10.
Yeah. Because there's a segment, the very first segment, which got cut from the film, and we actually almost missed it, because we watched a version of the film that was released afterwards. So, this is the censored, the Martins and the Coys.
Yeah, this one you won't find very much anymore, mainly because it's a bunch of people shooting and killing each other. I think that's the context here.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because of the, abundant use of guns that this was censored. I don't really see why, though. There's a lot of cartoons that use guns in America. Not saying that, we shouldn't maybe fix that problem, but, I don't understand why this...
'Cause everyone dies?
Maybe?
Actual death happens in the cartoons?
Maybe.
I think that might be the reason, because every single person dies, except for 2 on opposite sides, a guy and a gal. They hook up, they get married, and then spousal abuse, because they hate each other.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible ending.
Yeah, the Martins and the Coys, you know this story. It's Romeo and Juliet. It's any story where it's you have the 2 families on...
Feuding families, and they fight all the time, and in this version, they kill each other, down to the last 2 people.
Yeah, yeah.
Who then fall in love, in the Romeo and Juliet style.
Love at first sight, they get married right away, and then they hate each other, and they just...
Fight forever.
Yeah.
Yay.
Woo.
Don't do this. Just a bit of general advice. Don't marry someone you've known for very, very short period of time.
I don't think we need to tell them that.
No, probably not, but in case you were wondering.
I mean, this movie does say that, you know. It is
But it still spins it in a lighthearted, haha, this is funny.
I mean, it doesn't really... These movies and these shorts just have no bite to them. Because, like, even though they have a conclusion, it's met with such, like...
and then it happened.
And then it happened.
It's lighthearted filly-folly. Nothing important happens in these segments.
But anyway, it's just the and the animation's not that great.
It's fine. It's exaggeratedly cartoony.
Yeah. It's just
fine. The next segment is Blue Bayou.
Now this was almost in Fantasia.
Oh, okay.
This was part of a segment for Claire de Lune, which was going to be in Fantasia, and then it got cut.
Oh, okay.
And so they like repurposed it for in this, and you can see it because this looks a lot better. The animation in this,
there's not a whole lot going on. It's literally just a crane that walks around and then flies a bit around in this bayou. And then that's pretty much it with singing on top of it.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous, but
nothing happens.
It's still a deleted scene from Fantasia. So, I mean, you know, it's the leftovers of a better movie. Mm-hmm. Just being thrown in here.
Yup. I would definitely say this is one of the most enjoyable segments. Like, top 3 most enjoyable segments from this entire movie. Mm-hmm. But that's still not saying much.
Maybe that'll be... We should do that at the end. We should, like, rank what...
the order of these?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'd be fun.
Okay. So... Because I don't see this review taking terribly long anyways.
No. There's just not a lot to talk about. And so many of these segments are so forgettable that it's just...
So forgettable and then short.
Yeah, they're really short, forgettable, and...
Yeah. So
anyway, the next one I actually do really like.
Yes, all the cats join in.
And a lot of this was animated by Mark Davis, I believe.
I could see that, yeah.
And, yeah, it's like, he had a lot of amazing graphic contemporary kind of style, and that's what this is.
Yeah,
like, this just radiates contemporary.
This is exactly what the kids at the time were doing.
Yeah.
They're going down to their local soda shop and they're dancing it up with the boop bop beep bop jukebox. Boop bop beatbox. Beatboxing wasn't invented yet.
A wop bob a loo bop.
A wop bam boom.
We were both in Greece.
In high school.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that just kids cutting a rug, yo.
And, gosh, there's so many... This segment doesn't do any favor. This whole movie doesn't do any favors for women or guys. Like, just anybody in this. Like, whenever humans are portrayed, they're always, like, beating the shit out of each other for comedy.
Yeah, I mean, there's like one segment in here where a gal has a guy and he's like, she's jamming him along on the ground on his face.
Yeah. I mean, they're funny, but it's just kind of like, okay.
This segment is probably the best segment.
Saying it right now, yeah.
Yeah, just calling it, because the music is really catchy. The animation is really good and snappy. It's very simplistic, but it works so well.
Yeah. I enjoy this one a lot. I enjoy the colors. I enjoy the upbeat.
The fact that Disney was doing something modern.
Yeah.
This is because they don't do that very often back at this point in their history. It's like this is modern day. This is the actual teenage whippersnappers doing their thing. Yeah. At the time.
And then it's followed up by
Without you.
Really boring segment.
There is
again.
nothing happening. It's just like watercolor paintings and
Yeah, and they've got
Not
some
even-
effects animations going over
not
it.
even
this
that
is
much.
Just filler.
this song is so boring. This segment is boring. There is
It's
nothing to talk about. There's no
filler.
animation. Moving on.
It's just complete filler to make it so it's feature length. Then we have Casey at the bat.
Yeah, this is a baseball
Yep.
one.
This one's fine.
Yeah.
It's a nice little story about being like overconfident about your skills. And you get to see like this big guy who's supposed to be like, oh, he's the best of the best, and he just like strikes out. And yeah, it's also based on a poem called Casey at the Bat. And the animation's fun.
Yeah.
The whole segment itself is fine. But yet again, this is just one of those, it's like, this movie goes up and down in terms of quality. It's like,
This one's like in the middle of a hump of it's trying to be good, but it's not there.
if it was surrounded by things that were also enjoyable, this segment would probably be more enjoyable, but because it comes after Without You, which is just a snore fest. And then right after it is Two Silhouettes, which is also kind of
A different kind
it's
of
just
snore fest
completely tonally different.
from everything else in this piece.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in just a moment.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Casey at the bat is fine. I mean, there's
It'd be
definitely
better
some.
if it was just a short, but they couldn't sell the
Yeah.
shorts back then. That's the big reason why these movies were even a thing at this point, because it's like, okay, at this point, I think Disney could have started getting back into features, but they just weren't sure if they were ready for that yet. And the shorts in doing these package films were very cost efficient.
Yes. It was a money reason that they did these.
Well, and it was just like, it's so much easier to put together a bunch of shorts, throw them together in a movie.
Don't
And
have to
call
worry
it a
about them
day.
that much, yeah.
Yeah, because then you don't have to worry about your whole studio collaborating on a project.
Mm-hmm.
They can all work in their own little groups and then bring them together.
Yes.
Which is why these all vary in quality so much.
Because it's completely different people working on every single one.
And tone as well, like this next segment, Two Silhouettes.
This is worse than rotoscoping. This is literally just two silhouettes of real people dancing
Yeah.
and put on top of
Some
animated backgrounds. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like this one.
I mean, it was probably a pretty neat technique for the time, but
Yeah.
maybe not even then. Like, I found
no,
this
'cause-
stuff in Three Caballeros. Their pre-green screen technology there was
much more impressive than this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is boring.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not just because slow songs are boring, but the slow songs are just boring and there's nothing going on.
Right. It's slow just because it's supposed to be slow, and it's trying to evict a mood or incite a mood without doing anything with it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the part of the movie where we feel love or something.
Okay.
But there's
sure.
nothing to connect us to the dance.
We can't connect to just silhouettes.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to connect to a silhouette than it is to even connect to a cartoon character. So,
Right.
moving on again.
Yeah.
Peter and the Wolf.
I don't care for this one.
This is one that they definitely put a higher amount of effort into.
I know, it's like, this is one that I think people look back on quite fondly,
It's
and
like, this is the segment to watch this movie for. I don't see it.
It's like it's got
fine.
it's got a tiny bit more artistic value to it than like a Looney Tunes cartoon, but without the funny animation and fantastic voice work,
Yeah, it's just this one actually tells another story. It's about
This was another segment that was going to be in Fantasia or was planned for.
oh, okay. That's
and you can
interesting.
kind of tell because of the musical instruments at the beginning, signifying each character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the original, if it was just in Fantasia, it would have just had those characters with
the sounds, and
without Sterling Holloway's narration.
Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how sick of you are of Sterling Holloway
13.
narrating?
13.
Well, too bad.
No.
We've got another decade.
Sterling, please just play characters. Stop narrating things.
Yeah, it's like I love Sterling Holloway's voice, and I think he does great characters.
I just don't want to hear him narrate every single moment of every single short we watch.
Get ready. There's a lot more to go through.
No. Just be Winnie the Pooh, please. And like 500 other characters.
What I really don't like about this short, though, is the obvious neutering of the story.
Yeah.
To give it a happy ending.
Yeah.
It's like, just watching it, you know how this story is supposed to end. You know what's supposed to happen.
None of it does.
But it doesn't, because they were shooting for a mass audience.
Mass appeal of audience does not kill off the entire cast of children.
Yep. Yeah, because it's like, even if you aren't familiar with the Peter and the Wolf story, because I'm pretty sure this is based off of
Yeah, I would assume
folklore.
This is based off of something.
It's like there's this group of friends, and there's a wolf, and they're all told to not go after the wolf because it's dangerous, and you're like, okay, I'll give you $10 that in the original story...
Everyone gets eaten by the wolf.
Yeah,
nearly everyone.
Yeah, they all get, systematically eaten by the wolf until there's, like, the boy left, and then the boy gets eaten.
Oh, man, this just reminds me of, like, a children's book that I read as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You might have heard this one, I don't know. It was a book that my dad had when he was growing up.
Oh, yeah?
It's a story about a wolf and a bunch of baby rabbits or cats, I don't remember. But the story is, he eats all of them.
Uh-huh.
And then the mom is like, oh no, my kids have been eaten. But the wolf is asleep because he's incredibly full.
Right.
Like, this is some real vor shit. This is like super extended stomach and stuff.
Uh-huh.
With, like, the drawings. So the mom comes along, cuts open his stomach, and lets all the kids out.
Yeah.
And then sews him back, or puts like bricks or rocks inside of him, and then sews it back up.
Story, yeah, actually.
I don't know why I was reminded of this, other than wolf eating children.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of those kinds of stories.
Yeah, children's stories back then were screwed up.
Well, of course they were, because they weren't about entertaining kids. They were about teaching kids valuable lessons so they don't go off and die.
Yeah. Anyways, is there anything else about Peter and the Wolf?
I do like the idea of each character's
being like
having an instrument that represents them, but
yes.
It's not used enough in this short film to...
I would agree. It doesn't give enough impact.
Right.
It's not like the theme of man.
It feels more like a gimmick here than a deliberate, integral part of the short.
Yeah. Okay, so then after this was After You've Gone.
Okay, this might be my favorite segment.
Yeah, this is up there. So, the name of this, After You've Gone, sounds like it's going to be another one of those slow, boring songs, but it's not. It's a upbeat... It's another one of those upbeat segments with a bunch of personified instruments. Mm-hmm. And it's a jazz band, then they just go nuts.
They go nuts.
And it's great.
Yeah.
This and All the Cats Join In are my favorite segments out of this entire piece.
Mm-hmm. The editing in particular is what I want to call to attention here.
Yes.
Because it is so fast-paced and the transitions are so good. Like,
everything feels on point, snappy, and just fantastic to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a very short segment too.
Oh, yeah.
But like it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's perfectly paced. Like I wouldn't recommend this movie just for this, but I would recommend you look up just this segment because it is fantastic.
And I mean, I've probably expressed this before on this show, but I'm not a terribly big fan of surrealism. But this is surrealism done right, in my opinion, because it is very short and to the point, and it's not even pretending to be realistic.
Right. Well, it makes sense in its own way. You know, it's a segment that's called After You've Gone, which kind of implies that, you know, it's like these instruments are moving around on their own because the musicians are away.
Mm-hmm. And but they just continue to do music.
Yeah, and they're just putting on their own show. So it has its own sense to it. Mm-hmm. Which is the kind of surrealism we kind of prefer.
Yes.
So anyway, after this, it's followed up with
Johnny Fedora and Alice Bluebonnet. It's
We're
a love
both
story.
Still a little bit sick, so I'm sorry you had to listen to that awful singing.
Yeah, that was not in tune at all. It's a love story between hats. Yep, hats. It's a fedora and a lady bonnet.
Yep.
And, yeah, you can just kind of see where it goes from there. They get separated, and he's trying to look for her, but then he gets lost and downtrodden and warned by several different people, and eventually...
It does kind of have a twist ending, because you think it's going to be like Paperman or something like that, where, you know, like, there's a segment where they're kind of close to each other, and you think he's going to, like, the hat's going to fly away to her, and then the guy is going to, like, grab the hat, and then the two people wearing the hats are going to fall in love or something.
Nope, the humans are not involved at all.
Nope.
It's, they end up on horses.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere, at the end, they're like...
They're both just, like, these completely used hats that have gone through all this hell.
Trying to get to each other,
and they've lost hope, but right at the end of the tunnel, they both end up getting bought by... found by this person who's like, oh, cool. I got hats I can put on my horse.
Because I got a horse, like a horse-drawn carriage to cart people around, and gotta make my horses more presentable. Let's give them human hats.
That was a thing people did for a while.
I know. So, yep, they get back together, and good for them.
Yep. And it's all a little musical too, and it's just they sing Johnny Fedora and Alice Bluebonnet several times. So
yep.
And here we go.
The finale.
The big finale. This is the biggest segment of the entire piece.
And probably, like, technically the best.
Probably.
Like...
It definitely had more effort put into it than many of the other segments.
Yeah, and it's got an actual narrative that you can connect to.
Yes.
But the whale who wanted to sing at the Met.
It's a sperm whale and it can sing opera.
Yep.
That's the plot.
He wants to sing at the Met.
And so an owner of an opera
House.
house,
Yeah.
is that the correct term for it?
Oh, well, I think so.
Anyways, he's like, I'll get the operatic singer that's stuck in its belly out by killing the whale.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, for a long time it goes on this tangent of like, oh, the Grand Opry house manager realized that the whale was talented, so he
brought him back.
He brought him back, and Willie was huge. He made a big splash at the opera house,
and they show him singing all this different operatic pieces that I'm sure are famous. I don't know many of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can sing in 3 voices at the same time.
Yes.
Because he can sing tenor, baritone, and bass at the same time by wiggling his
Uvulas?
3 uvulas.
Yep.
I was like, okay, that's not how singing works at all, but
whatever.
Go ahead.
Whatever.
He's about a singing whale. But then we come back to reality, and no, none of that actually happened.
It was actually sang by all the same.
Yes, every single thing in this piece was sung by the same singular guy.
Which is really impressive.
Nelson Eddy was his name.
Yes. But then it turns out that, his career, it was all, in Willie's head. The Grand Opry manager is just like still trying to just shoot a harpoon at him because he's like, oh, there are 3 opera singers in there.
I need to get them out.
Yeah.
And he does. He does shoot Willie, and
the segment ends.
Willie dies.
Probably.
No, he does die. He just straight up dies, and now they're in heaven.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
that's
is singing
right. And
in heaven.
He's singing for the angels.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so apparently this whole movie starts with a bunch of people dying, and then another segment with another person dying.
Where talent gets taken from this world too soon.
Because he was
too good for this world, I think.
It was like the point.
Yeah.
Because he was a wonder of the world, and people just aren't ready for that or something.
Yeah.
So now he's in heaven.
I do like the moral of this last segment, and I do like that it didn't pull punches and actually, they killed Willie, and
yeah,
and it didn't just go with the, oh, well, isn't this a fun segment about a ludicrous idea about a whale singing at the Met. They do bring it back into reality, and they say, like, we as human beings don't realize
what we're doing sometimes.
And we are real idiots sometimes, and we can kill creativity and passion by being greedy. Both
in other human beings and, I guess, magical singing whales.
Yeah. So before we go and rank these, I found a segment in my Walt Disney
Bible.
My Walt Disney Bible, in my book, for anyone who is also interested in knowing a bit more about Walt Disney. I have a huge book here. You can usually get it at bookstores, or I know it's on Audible. You can get the audiobook of it. But it is Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination by Neil Gabler. And this is a segment about Make Mine Music and the compilation films in general. And this just kind of sets the stage for how both Sean and I feel about the package films as a whole, and how critics and the general audiences felt about these package films at the time. All right. So let's see here. The critic Richard Schickel believed that it was when Disney began disavowing claims to art and emphasizing his common man persona after the war that the intellectuals began disavowing him. But the process had, in fact, started with Fantasia, when Walt's artistic aspirations had been highest. For those who thought that Fantasia had exposed Walt's cultural obtuseness, the compilation films only confirmed it. "Suppose you visit a friend," wrote one former admirer in the left-wing Theater Arts in June 1946. "You know that he has a warm heart, and he is kind to animals, and his sense of humor is infectious, and his professional skill is beyond compare. But when you enter his house, you find to your dismay that his walls are festooned with second-rate art, and his furniture is carelessly assembled with little regard for harmony or any other concern except to fill space. This wouldn't cause you to hate the man," the critic said. "It would only cause you to admit with regret that his taste was deplorable." Walt Disney was now that man.
Yep. Great guy. Pretty bad taste in art.
I mean,
in movies at the time.
Well, okay.
I mean, that's what that guy's saying.
Yeah, that's what this guy is saying. And this whole era of package films, you know, this might be a better thing to talk about when we get to the end of the package film era. But just this whole era here is where Walt starts to walk away from animation.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to start becoming more of a public figure for the people, and he kind of takes on the whole Uncle Walt persona.
Yeah.
And you know, it shows. These package films are what happens when that creativity and passion for your art is being pushed to the side.
It disappears.
For making the bottom line.
Yeah.
And that's where we are right now. Now, fortunately, we can look back on these and go, thank God
this wasn't the end.
This wasn't the end.
Yeah.
We still have a long history of Disney movies to watch. But, you know, I just think that if I was a critic at this time period, I would probably be very cynical of the Walt Disney Company and what it was putting out.
I would agree. I mean, just comparing
comparing
this to like what we're going through right now.
Right.
Just this year, looking at the various animation studios that we've been going to subject ourselves to.
Yeah.
With this year's movies, and they continuously drop in quality, and especially compared to like movies that we know these companies have put out before that were so much better than what they're doing today.
Right.
So,
well, and every studio goes through these cycles.
Uh-huh.
And Walt Disney Studios had a cycle here thanks to the war and thanks to Walt being pulled away from the studio and them needing to stick to budgets. This is a big one for Walt Disney Studios.
Yep.
So anyway, do we want to rank the shorts?
Yes, let's go ahead and rank the short. There are 10 of them. So, what is your worst short?
Worst short. I'm gonna say Without You.
I'm going with Two Silhouettes.
Okay. That would probably be my next one.
Yeah, my number 9 is then Without You, and yours is Two Silhouettes.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we don't like either of those segments. What would you say is after that? Now we get into this ones that are like, fine?
Yeah, probably Johnny Fedora and Alice Bluebonnet.
Yeah, that seems like a good one to put there.
Either that or Casey at the Bat.
Yeah, I was actually going to say Martin and the Coys.
That one's probably next for me.
I'm just going to put all three of those in there.
All three of those are kind of about the same quality.
There we go. That's numbers 8, 7, and 6.
Yeah.
So, number 5. Which one is about in the middle for you?
Peter and the Wolf.
Yeah, let's go with Peter and the Wolf there. And then number 4, I would say, is The Whale Who Wanted to Sing at the Met.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say Blue Bayou.
Okay. Blue Bayou I enjoyed more than The Whale, so I'm putting that one at number 3.
Okay. Well then, or you mean number 4?
No, The Whale Who Sang at the Met is number 4.
4. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so then number 3.
My number 3 was Blue Bayou.
Blue Bayou. Okay, my number 3 would be The Whale Who Wanted to Sing at the Met.
And then number 1 and 2 is All the Cats Join In and After You're Gone.
After You've Gone. Yeah, those would be my top 2 as well. And I'm not sure which one is better. I really like both.
So we have pretty similar...
I think as far as like lastability, After You've Gone is pretty timeless.
Yes.
Like I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You could show this to anyone of any age and,
they'll get the same amount of enjoyment.
They'll get the same amount of enjoyment.
Unless someone hates jazz music, which, shame on that person.
All the Cats Join In does have a bit of, like...
cultural significance?
Well, like, it was very contemporary. And so, with contemporary, it automatically...
It becomes a timepiece?
Yeah, it automatically becomes a timepiece. So, it doesn't translate as well. And there's definitely some just, like, misogyny. Some, light coating of misogyny there that's not ashamed of, so...
Yeah. But, yeah, that was this film. That was Make Mine Music.
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably don't watch this one.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty forgettable. I'm not
not terribly invested.
No. I'm having trouble just finding things to say about it.
Okay, well, how about we just call this episode to a close?
Yeah.
And what is our next film then, Tennille?
Oh boy, howdy. You know what our next film is?
I do. Do you want to fill in the audience?
Yes, I do want to fill in the audience. Put your straw hats on, boys and girls. It's time to watch Song of the South. And listen to a tale from old Uncle Remus.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Drop your jack in the old jukebox, play your favorite dish. When you dance with the Bobby Sox, you dance at your own risk. Rip, everybody swing, yes swing, till the rafters ring and all the cats join in.